Tell me exactly what happened.
I came into my room, and my husband, I think he died. I think he's on the floor. I mean, I know he's on the floor.
On November 29th, 2020, this phone call made by a third-grade teacher to 911, claiming that she'd found her husband dead on their bedroom floor, set into motion an investigation that would go on for the next 4 years and leave a small New Mexico community reeling from the shock of the gruesome reality. This is Heather Fernandez-Hoefer, 51, a former third-grade school teacher from Farmington, New Mexico, who worked at McCormick Elementary and who used to lead a seemingly ordinary life until November 2020, when she made the aforementioned phone call to 911 at 5:39 a.m. to report that she had found her husband, Robert Hoefer, age 49, unresponsive on their bedroom floor.
No, Robert, no, babe, no, please don't do this to me. No.
She claimed that she had found him face down on the floor and claimed that he must have stabbed himself while she was elsewhere, but that did not appear to be the full truth. Robert and Heather had met one another in September 2019, and by September 2020, they were married, a mere 2 months before his death. The account of events that Heather provides to the police is that Robert had asked her to warm up some pie while he was watching video games, and she claimed that while she might not have been looking, he must have injured himself. So she had helped him clean up, and then they went to bed by themselves before she found him the next morning. And by then, it had been too late.
Has he been sick?
Well, he injured himself.
When was this?
This evening,
How did he injure himself?
he got mad. Babe, come on, babe, wake up, babe.
How did he injure himself?
He cut himself.
How did he cut himself?
Listen to me. Babe, wake up, honey, please wake up. Honey, please wake up. You can't do this to me.
Heather, if you think he's gone and there's no help, I need for you to walk out of that room and leave him alone, especially if you think this is going to be Are you telling me this is a suicide now?
I don't know.
Okay, all right.
On the phone call, Heather clearly tells the dispatcher that she thinks Robert must have injured himself. But here's where it gets suspicious, because the investigators found most of the blood to be on the bed and not the floor, where Heather claimed to have found him, making her claims inconsistent with the visual evidence.
Ma'am, did you see what happened? Where's the blood coming from on him? On his chest?
And I fell asleep on the couch and I came in here and he was on the floor. He was on...
Okay. Ma'am, can you watch out? I was going to check his pulse.
He's cold.
He's cold?
He's cold.
When did you last see him?
About 3. And I came in just now. And I guess he'd gotten his razor out. I don't know what he did. I don't know.
Heather is hysterical and at first claims that Robert must have inflicted the wound onto himself with his razor on accident. But later, she contradicts herself and claims that he must have used their steak knives or even overdosed on his medication, which casts serious doubts on the reliability of her account of events as they seem to be varying so frequently.
Do you know what he cut himself with?
He said one of the steak knives, but it couldn't have...
His wounds, 3 deep gashes on his chest which punctured a lung and a coronary artery, also did not seem consistent with self-inflicted wounds. And the minor lacerations were not deep enough to be fatal, so she claimed that she'd helped him clean up earlier the previous evening, and they'd gone to bed separately, and that was apparently the last she saw of him.
We're not sure. She said he cut himself earlier in the night. Had been in bed in here, and then she came over, pulled him off the bed, took his shirt off. No, the lacerations I'm seeing are deep enough and have a lot of blood protruding, but...
That's the thing.
I don't know.
I told. It's not deep. They were deep. They're not deep enough to kill.
So what about the discussion after he said he stabbed himself with the steak knife? what then? I mean, you just, what happened?
I
I mean,
didn't see any steak knife missing.
Uh-huh.
You know, that's the
Yeah,
thing.
but obviously he cut himself with something.
These are the knives. These are the steak knives.
Okay, we'll check them. We'll take a look at them.
I didn't see any of them gone.
I don't see any of them missing.
Heather's claims that he might have used the steak knife to hurt himself are found to be quite unlikely, since forensic evidence revealed that the knife that had been used to slash Robert thrice had been cleaned and kept back in the kitchen. And it seems implausible to believe that Robert had hurt himself, then proceeded to clean the weapon and keep it back in its original place, given how quickly he must have bled out given the grievousness of his injuries. And considering the distance between the kitchen and the computer room where his body had been discovered, it's an even less likely explanation. As more and more signs begin to point towards Robert's demise being anything but Heather is brought in for questioning as the sole and prime suspect, given her inconsistent accounts of what had happened, and she goes on to repeatedly deny having any knowledge of what had truly transpired whatsoever, and consistently claim that she had nothing to do with Robert's death.
Do they make you take like first aid and stuff like that as a teacher?
Yes.
CPR and first aid and stuff like that? Do you remember anything about what they teach about like lacerations and wounds and stuff like that, and wound care and everything like that?
However, when Heather is questioned about her first aid training, she reveals that as a teacher, she had a certain degree of knowledge regarding the same. Yet when she found her husband in that state, neither did she administer any first aid, and nor did she do the bare minimum of even calling an ambulance, which seems highly suspicious.
He said one of the steak knives, but it couldn't have.
Okay, let's not go reaching around. I just don't want you to get cut, ma'am, in case it's sitting around here.
Say again?
I don't want you reaching around just in case you get cut, okay?
We do need to find the shirt. We do need to find the
I was
jacket.
looking for that.
If we can touch as minimal things as possible.
It's also worth noting that in spite of being instructed not to touch too many things, which are now classified as evidence, Heather continues to do so repeatedly.
You didn't see the injuries before bed, but you hear
or
him.
anything.
Yeah, but you heard him complain. He said he was hurt, his chest hurt.
Yeah. But he gets like that when he gets his migraines.
Right.
And,
So that's
there's-
understood. But then when you went in the next time, and you find out that he had stabbed himself, or according to him, he said he stabbed himself.
But I thought it was just, like a cut.
Uh-huh.
Because I think in his past, he was a cutter.
Okay.
Heather tries to downplay the seriousness of the situation she'd been placed in, and claim that Robert used to inflict wounds unto himself, even in the past, hence pushing a certain narrative about him, but it ultimately falls flat.
And I'm married. I also have kids. If anyone in my family, if I found that they stabbed themselves, if they said they stabbed themselves with a steak knife, I would be concerned. I would, one, because I would be concerned that they might have some injuries, okay? And even if they're superficial, my next concern would be, I don't want to leave them so that they can potentially harm themselves again or more. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That doesn't make sense to me.
I know.
So how do you explain that?
Honestly, I didn't think they were that bad.
Uh-huh.
I didn't realize that they were as bad as they were.
Heather claims she didn't realize the cuts were that bad, yet when one takes even a cursory look at the crime scene, it's hard to miss the large pool of Robert's blood on the bed. Eventually, Heather asked for a lawyer and appeared unwilling to be answering any more questions. A deeper examination of this case revealed several murky facts about Robert and Heather that she had not disclosed earlier. Through digital evidence, investigators reportedly learned that Fernandez-Hoefer and her husband got into an argument over money in Hoefer's previous relationship. Their neighbor allegedly heard the dispute between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. on the night of the victim's death. However, friends and family claimed that though Robert was not happy in the relationship, he did not seem likely to have taken his own life. And finally, after a much prolonged investigation, Heather Fernandez-Hoefer was arrested on April 1st, 2025, at the San Juan County Adult Detention Center. She was released on bond on April 2nd and placed on administrative leave from her teaching position at the school, where authorities had been unaware of any such investigation related to her.
We've completed our investigation. It took some time because we had a lot to process. But our investigation, from what we have, we know what happened, okay? And this is your opportunity to tell us the truth about what happened, okay? Because what you told me last time, none of the evidence that we processed matches with what you're telling us. So I know what happened to Robert. I just don't know why it happened to him. This is your time to tell me why.
I'm gonna need an attorney.
Okay.
The charges against her include second-degree and with evidence, and investigators are continuing the investigation, whereas authorities have encouraged anyone with further information to come forward.
Count of second-degree and a count of tampering with evidence in the death of her husband, Robert. She is scheduled to be arraigned on those charges in June in district court in Farmington, New Mexico.
As of July 28, 2025, Heather Fernandez-Hoefer is formally charged and awaiting further court proceedings. Pre-trial hearings are pending and the investigation remains open. There's no public record yet of a plea or trial dates, but the truth of what really happened that night and why it ended like this is still a question that remains unanswered.